So the governor saying that you guys aren't doing anything to make the community safer, what would you say in response to him?
You know, I don't think the governor has ever stepped foot near a Tren de Aragua member or MS-13 member or any other bad person or bad thing, so he probably wouldn't understand exactly what we're talking about. It might be way over his head. But don't worry, Governor Pritzker, we've got it covered from here, and this is just the beginning. Tonight's just the beginning, and we're going to roll on and on. We are going to turn and burn, Governor. We're going from this one to the next, to the next, to the next, until they quit or are all deported and go home. And as far as him, he can either get on board or watch from the sidelines.
I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children...
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not putting children in harm's way. Tren de Aragua...
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
they're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Tren de Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Tren de Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
That's my question.
As you saw from the intro, Governor of Illinois, Chicago, Brandon Johnson, these people are getting called out, honestly. This situation is calling you, like you saw from the intro, a lot of these liberals are getting mad about a possibility of kids being zip-tied. Now, I don't see no evidence of that. One of the videos I did see, I found out it was a fake video, an AI-generated video of kids being zip-tied and arrested. So there's no evidence of this stuff being true, but, media, they're running over the narrative, right? They're trying to get you feel sympathetic. They're trying to get some type of outrage and backlash over what happened and what transpired, because at this point, ICE is making content off of these deportations, off of these arrests from these protesters and rioters. And something I want to bring up as well is that the left seems to not be able to handle accountability, right? Because as you saw from the intro, the Border Patrol chief, that was a chief in the beginning of the video, he's calling out Pritzker, because this is all on Pritzker. Because before, ICE was being nice. Earlier in Trump's administration, I don't know if you guys remember, they were talking about, hey, when they detain these criminals and they happen to be illegals, the Chicago police force, they don't retain them in the prisons until we come get there. They release these people back into the community. And then Pritzker wants to get it mad or surprised when ICE is trying to do their job by going into those communities. And this is something that Tom Homan had warned consistently. So as much as Democrats will try to say, oh, this is ICE's fault, this is Trump's fault, oh my God, they're overusing force, Democrats in no way is helping better the situation. And it's perfectly how that border control executive, he put it perfectly. Either you get on board, you can help to control and mitigate the exposure to this stuff to your everyday Chicago citizens, Brandon Johnson, Pritzker, or you can sit in the sidelines and look incompetent and not doing anything. Because that's the reality. The Democrats are not doing anything. And recently, I wanted to point out this story, too, that a Border Control officer was attacked by domestic terrorists who used vehicles to ram federal agents. Miramar Martinez, one of the drivers, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon and has a history of doxing federal agents. This is what the Democrats condone. Right? These two people ram a car chasing ICE, right? These people are going around neighborhoods when they see ICE honking, trying to make people, illegals, aware. Hey, look, ICE is on the way. ICE is on the way. It's crazy how these people act against the interests of the American people. And I kind of want to debunk these narratives that the left are trying to run with. Oh my God, they were segregating black people. Oh my God, they're coming for black people. Here's a clip that I found of a resident of the nearby neighborhood where ICE conducted this raid, and she's kind of spinning a different story. Let's take a look.
Chicago, you need to stop lying and saying, and people on this internet need to stop lying and saying that they're coming for black people. Yes, that was a building in a black community that was not majority black because it had been overran by illegal gang bangers. Let's be clear. So why everybody want to keep throwing that narrative around half of South Shore is fucking invaded by illegals. That's the truth. So don't get on here saying black people are being came for. They're coming because they're in our neighborhoods and our communities. That's why. So yes, they're going to go in buildings where black people live and sleep because they put them in buildings where black people live and sleep. South Shore, born and raised. I know what I'm talking about. Stop pushing that narrative because it's not correct. So for those who was questioning about who I am and where I'm at, this is Adam Clayton Powell. This is the building that everyone is in an uproar about. So as I said, South Shore, this is your community, your neighborhood, and this building was not majority black when the ICE came the other day. Yes, black people were affected, but this building was overran by illegal Venezuelan gangs. And I just had several conversations with residents who are moving their stuff out of here that confirmed that. So stop letting media put that false narrative in your head that somebody coming for you, because they not. You was born here. You was born on this land. Rise up and stand up on something and stop letting any and everybody tell you something.
And exactly. And this is what I've been talking about to Black America. If you're a Democrat, it doesn't make you more black than a conservative. Sorry. Just because you align with Democrats doesn't make you more black than someone else. Because I've been telling you a long time, I've been saying this a long time on this channel, that Democrat policies don't align with the best interests of black politics, right? If I was looking at it objectively from black politique. This is not beneficial for black people, right? Because that's where they go. When illegals come into this country illegally and they're shifting them off, they're not shipping them off into the wealthy Hollywood areas. They're shifting them down in the ghettos, where, you know, prominently black people live at, low income areas, low to middle class areas. That's where they're shipping off these illegals at. And if these illegals happen to be Tender Agua, of course, black people will be affected by this. But as she stated before, she showed you the proof. Hey, I'm around this area. I witnessed this area. Yes, some black people were affected, but the point is, this is also a negative on black communities as well. Chicagoans were worried that Tender Agua will get into turf war with American Chicago gangs. That's what the people of those areas were worried about. So let me ask you, Democrats, is it a good thing or a bad thing that ICE came in and took them out? But you want to blame all on ICE feet when your Democratic leadership had months in advance to coordinate with Trump's agenda here and try to mitigate the exposure and the risk. And in the story, right, notice how he gives zero context about why this happened, which is, I'm talking about these two groups of people, these two people who try to ambush ICE, and ICE had to open fire on their vehicle because they try to pin a ICE vehicle and rammed it with their car. There's videos of it out there. And the Democrats are trying to play cover for this stuff to try to get victimhood points off of this. And this is the kind of narratives that I believe the lady was pointing out. The fact that it appears the man who ordered Chicago police not to assist ICE agents in the need of help this morning. Meet Patrol Chief John Heen. He ordered, imagine this, a Chicago parole chief ordered his department not to help ICE, and ICE had to open fire. But then you want to blame ICE. Oh my God, overwhelming force. Oh my God, this is unwarranted. The ICE is putting American people at risk. But you're allowing these things to happen to these federal agents. Make it make sense. And it's baffling to me. It's so crazy how the Democratic Party essentially made themselves the party of violence. And then they're here throwing up stuff like, oh my God, we discussed horrific ICE raids in Chicago where children were reportedly taken naked into the streets. What video? Where's the video of that? All the videos I can find were AI generated. Where are the videos of that? The landlords were reportedly slumlords that let ICE trash the place and argue that Trump is federalizing decades of racism, broken down windows, policing. Everyone's asking for evidence, but they're going with the narrative.
when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing kids down too, had them zip tied to each other, saying that there were trucks, military-style vans used to separate adults from kids. What's going on in
I
this
haven't
country?
seen any of this, so I certainly am not aware of.
And I'm not trying to deny that this could be a possibility, but one thing I do know is that if the mainstream media had video of this stuff, they'll be playing it on loop, 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 loop. They'll put it in your face, right? Because if the video exists, that's what they will do, right? But you don't see that. All they do is talk about reportedly, right? He say, she said type of stuff. And that's why I have doubts about that. I trust, but I verify. And without verifiable proof, right? Oh, the residents said so. Residents can be saying anything. The residents could be misremembering that night because it happened in the middle of the night. That must have woken up a lot of people around the neighborhood. Some of them were being nosy, right? They didn't have the full picture. But hey, I digress. But the whole point is, in my estimation, you have to partly blame Chicago's governance for this. Because ICE warned everybody, the whole nation, hey, we'll be forced to do this because we have an agenda that we push, that we campaign on. We want mass deportation. Donald Trump is coming for the title of deporter-in-chief. And either you comply or we will do this step. Like, it's hard to blame Trump for this. This is what my argument is. This is my angle here. It's hard to blame Trump for this when he warned these Democrats, hey, stop releasing these illegals after you capture them and stop putting them back in the communities because now we got to go in the communities and find them. And then when ICE do exactly what they told you they were going to do, your Pikachu face surprise. And this is why I think a lot of Americans, this little sympathy whining that the liberals are trying to do or the progressives are trying to do and the leftists are trying to do, it's falling on deaf ears because people are like, you're kind of warned, right? If your father told you, hey, stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing it, and then you get a consequence, you can't cry victim after you suffer the consequence because you were warned numerous times that this would happen. But, I digress. Let's get back into it.
Of particular neighborhoods that are targeted, obviously I support them finding and arresting people who are here illegally. And in the community they're in, again, I can't justify, I haven't seen which communities that they're targeting.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Tren de Aragua. And so Tren de Aragua is a violent transnational gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs, they traffic people, they commit violence. They inflict misery everywhere they go. And
this is one of the things I get tired of black liberals as well, is that they don't care about gang activity. You heard the side, right? He's used to it. Like, this is the problem that black conservatives point out about black on black crime, about how black people are disproportionately represented as crime victims, is because no one wants policing in black communities, in majority black areas, because it'll be perceived as racist, but at the same time, you're leaving law-abiding black people out to dry. Like, you're making them sitting ducks because they know, police are going to have a lower response time in these areas. And then you're going to blame resources. No, it's policy. And when he brings up Tren de Aragua causing chaos and destruction in the black communities, right? Causing rivalries with other gangs in the area, right? Escalating the situation. Chicagoans, law-abiding Chicagoans worrying about gang wars possibly happening in the neighborhood. And what the black liberal on the TV says, he sighs because he don't think it's an actual problem. And I think if you ask people who actually live there, like the lady I've just played the clip in the video, they're more happy that the ICE came in and cleaned up than this liberal here who's living on the outside, who's just trying to make a political point out of this. And it's fine to make political points, but my thing is, it has to lead somewhere, either to a better solution, a better approach. But end of the day, these problems need to be solved. And liberals just sighing, dismissing, and pretending the problem isn't a problem isn't an effective message. And that's the warning I've been really hammering leftists and Democrats on. Because as an American voter, I can't really consider your party as a political option for governance if you're not willing to recognize the concerns and problems that American people have and actually have an approach or a solution to deal with that problem. And this is where it's messing up the Democrats right now. But I digress. Let's get back into it.
37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid, the targeting of Tren de Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere. And when they come here, nothing good happens. That was
okay,
the point.
so if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. Right. When you clear out an apartment building and you zip tie children and you arrest and detain everyone. Scott, hold on, Scott. You and me, we're talking here, okay? If they arrest children, they arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty, for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
They didn't arrest children. But
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them in zip ties. But if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
Here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Tren de Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question, that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it unfortunate?
And this is what I'm talking about with priorities. Like, what matters more? Hey, like, yeah, I detained some kids and we put them on the side or whatever. And yeah, we took you out of your home, but you know, hey, these people are violent. Like, there's videos of when they in Colorado, right? When those people, gang members, were taking over those apartments, they're breaking into apartments with weapons, right? You don't know what can go down, right? And let's say it was a violent altercation, right? Like, let's say ICE didn't come in the middle of the night and a firing spree happened, a shootout happened, and some residents got hit inside their apartments and their kids got shot. The left will be running on that and saying, see, look how ICE escalated the situation. You can't win with these people. End of the day, I'm looking at the outcomes. And the outcomes is, hey, 34 people were arrested. Hey, Tenagua, this is good marketing material. Put it out on the internet. Illegals who are still here will be more incentivized to self-deport, right? Because end of the day, the outcome is what we're looking for. Hey, we want mass deportation. Hey, we want these people out of here. Hey, we don't want illegals taken from the system where it leaves scraps for actual Americans who need it. It's an efficiency problem. And this is something that the Democrats don't want to recognize or reckon with. Because the conservatives, they're talking about a priority. Hey, will you be fine with this happening if, hey, you know, some Americans are inconvenienced by this? Most conservatives will say yes. It's fine. Did they get detained? Did they get arrested? No. Okay, they got detained. They got released back into, okay, what's the problem? The trauma. You don't think it was traumatic for these illegals committing crimes against American citizens? You don't think it was traumatic for Americans to realize that they're essentially working on behalf of for illegals for the benefit of Democrats? Left to their own devices, they get terrorized by these illegal gang members? You don't think that was a problem? You don't think that was a problem for Chicago to take in these illegals and put their city in a $900 million budget shortfall? You don't think that was a problem? And this is the problem with the Democrats. Come on, solve some problems. Y'all got no alternatives. All you got is criticism. And last time I checked, no one elects a critic to lead anything. I digress. Let's get back into it.
Or is it a violation of their rights is the question. Because, I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and illegal searches and
you're suggesting these children should be effectively human shields for Tren de Aragua, and I don't agree with
what I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I know that Tren de Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question.
And this is where, you know, I get a little like this. These are tactics that I'm used to from black liberals, is that they hit you with these loaded questions with their subjective assumptions, and they want you to answer a yes or no question to that. I'm like, no, that's a loaded question, and you know it. You hitting people with loaded questions? No, we see it a different way. It's a priority thing. Just because you don't prioritize the safety, the budget, and the lifestyle of American people, and you want to use these kids as a shield to justify your opposition to what's going on, because that's in reality, that's what this guy is doing. He's trying to use the kids in zip ties, right, as cover for his political opposition, because without those kids in zip ties, argue on the merits. Why is it a bad thing that in the middle of the night, ICE raided the apartment to get these illegals out of here, these criminals, illegals out of here that was pretty much terrorizing the community? Why was it a bad thing to take those people out? On the merits, he can't argue that. All he can argue is the side effects, the unintended consequences, the downstream consequences of that happening. You know, you're woken up the neighborhood. You might have scared some American citizens. I understand all that. But for many conservatives, that's worth it. It's worth it to get these people out of here. It's worth it for the safety of these people in the apartment complex. Especially when their leadership don't want to do anything about these people in the first place. But you want to use this as a talking point. You hit Scott with a loaded question and you think you're doing something. And this is why a lot of Americans, they don't see Democrats in a popular light. Because you've got nothing. You got nothing to offer. We know you need these illegals as political pawns to boost up your census numbers to give you more seats in the House. This is why this is the game. This is the long-term game. A lot of you use illegals as a means to justify more government money being funneled into your cities, into your states. You don't want to talk about those conflicts of interest. And Americans are like, nah, put Trump in there. Because you're not willing to do the thing that Americans actually want you guys to do. 80-20, remember? The Democrats always go for the 20 and not the 80. But I digress. Let's see. We already know how Scott reacts to this, but I'm just tired of these loaded, emotional, manipulative questions. Like, we're tired of the cry bullying from the left. I think that's why I'm also articulating here. Let's get back into it.
Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not
whether
putting
or not,
children in harm's way. Trinde Aragua.
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
they're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Trinde Aragua? Should the entire community of Chicago have to live with Trinde Aragua because they hide behind these children?
But here's the thing.
That's my question.
I think the answer to that is clear. No, they should not be put in harm's way. But the difference is in this situation is I don't want to be Trinde Aragua. I don't want my law enforcement to act like Trinde Aragua. That is the distinction.
You don't want to
selling drugs, terrorizing, people in your communities. That's what you think ICE is doing? Why was ICE there in the first place? Brandon Johnson and Democrats in sanctuary cities help facilitate these people to be able to migrate into these neighborhoods, putting these people at risk. And, the citizens of Chicago were telling Brandon Johnson and them to get these illegals out, fell on deaf ears. Democrats didn't want to do nothing. From the Senate to the governor to Brandon Johnson, the mayor of the city. They didn't want to do nothing about illegals, right? Because of your sanctuary cities, right? Trump's like, I'm gonna handle it. And then every attempt that Trump tried to do, to work with the sanctuary cities, we don't protect illegal criminals. That's a misnomer. That's a lie. But every action you do, it validates what Trump was saying. Hey, when they catch these illegals that happen to do crime, they release them back into the community. What sense did that make? And now ICE gotta go chase them in the communities, find them. And you're surprised and you don't like how it's going. Excuses. Democrats, stop making excuses. It's time for you guys to make an effort. How would you do something differently? Because this is a problem that Chicagoans, Americans wanted you to do something about. But instead you gaslight us and you was telling us, no, the border's secure. We got everything under control with a comprehensive border plan. Let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. And do you believe that Democrats have some blame for all the circumstances happening for not working with the Trump administration? I asked you that question also in the comment section below. Let me hear your thoughts, your opinions, your perspective on this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me on the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.